Hey everyone, John Whyte here from Century 21 Leading Edge, Canadian owned and run business. So today I'd like to talk to you about conditional sales and what that is. So we all know that um, if we place our property up on the MLS and we're selling our property, it's a listing up on the MLS, people can book showings, and then offers can come in. Now, with an offer, there are two different types of offers. There's going to be an offer that is firm, and that means that there are no conditions. If it is accepted by both parties and all the terms are accepted on that offer, it is a firm deal. The buyer and the seller cannot back out of that offer. Otherwise, it would be a breach of contract. And then we have the other side, which is a conditional offer. And conditional offers are just that. It's an offer for your property that comes with conditions. And these conditions are usually there for the buyer's benefit. So conditions, the two major conditions that we deal with all the time are financing conditions and inspection condition. If you deal with condos, you're most likely going to have a status certificate or condo documents condition on a condo deal. Okay, but for a typical resale home, you're going to potentially find finance and inspection conditions. These conditions are put into place by the buyer, okay, in most parts by the buyer, and they're the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, meaning that they are there for the buyer's benefit. Usually we find a date or a time frame for conditions. They all have an expiry date. And a typical amount of days, business days for a home inspection or for a financing condition sits around 5 business days. Now, what we like to do for our clients, if there's a situation where we can't get away from conditions in an offer, because in a perfect world, we would like to bring our clients clean, firm offers. Once it's accepted, it's done, and that's it. However, in certain markets, conditions become a norm again, and when there's not multiple offers on a situation on a property where multiple buyers are competing against each other, it's hard to remove these conditions. So what we do like to do is negotiate better terms for our client, meaning we like to lessen the days of conditional period, so that instead of 5 days, I like to work with 3 business days, so that we have an answer from the buyer within the first 3 business days of an accepted conditional offer, whether they're going to move forward or not with our property. So the way a conditional offer works is somebody submits an offer, it has conditions. Let's say we are the sellers and we love the price. We've worked out a price that makes sense. We've worked out a closing date that makes sense. All the other terms in the agreement make sense to us, but this offer has conditions. It's very difficult to go back to the other side, the buyer's side, and say, please remove your conditions, Mr. Buyer, unless we have other offers on the table. So what we can do is look at those conditions and look at the terms of those conditions. And if we see that they're asking for 5 days or more for each condition, I like to reduce all conditional periods to 3 business days, which is more than enough time for an inspector to get in and do the inspection and the buyer to waive, or for the mortgage broker to waive financing. Now, if we see an offer come in and they're asking for 10 or more days for financing, I get a little nervous in the sense that, are they really approved for this amount? See, buyers should have a really good idea, and they should already have started the process of talking to someone at their bank or a mortgage broker, and they should have a great idea in terms of what their number is that they can work with in terms of a purchase price and a mortgage. And so when somebody comes in the offer and they're asking for more than 10 days of financing period condition, that scares me a little bit, because it makes me wonder whether they are approved or if they have even started that process, which could take longer than 10 days. So we typically don't even want to accept an offer that's asking for more than 10 days for a typical resale home transaction. Okay. Now, inspection and financing, these are conditions that are worded that they are in the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, meaning that if a buyer has a financing condition and they receive word from their mortgage broker, and their mortgage broker tells them, you are 100% ready to go with this purchase, and I even got you the best interest rate you could possibly get on the market. We're ready to go, move forward if you want. And the buyer still, after hearing that from the mortgage broker, comes back to us and says, you know what, I changed my, you know what, we're not moving forward. We're not moving forward on the financing condition. As a seller, we are not allowed to pry and ask them why they're not moving forward. We have to, according to the law, we have to return their deposit amount within a reasonable time frame, which is usually 10 to 15 days, and move on from that transaction and put the property back for sale. Okay? Now, during the conditional period, no purchase price is mentioned, so it's all hidden. There's no agent that knows what your property sold for during a conditional period. They can only find out if that deal goes firm, and then your price point will get posted. So if somebody in turn walked away from your deal based on one of their conditions, then nobody would know what that sale price was. Okay? However, if the deal goes firm, then we would post the sale amount because it is a firm deal. So at the end of the day, the buyer has the ability to walk away from an offer based on a condition. Even if the condition is met in full, it's still the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, which is very important because most people don't understand this and it's not explained to them properly. And then it can result in legal repercussions later on down the line. So just very important to understand that conditions are usually there for the protection of the buyer and for the buyer's sole and absolute discretion, meaning the buyer can walk away for any given reason and they don't have to tell us why. Okay? So what we like to do, obviously, when we have listings for sale, when we're accepting offers, we like to try and work out the offer where our terms are the best possible for our clients, which is the seller. And so what we do is if we cannot remove the conditions in full, we like to reduce the days, the conditional period, so that our seller doesn't have their property lingering in a conditional period for longer than they need to. I hope this information was helpful, and thank you very much, everybody, and we'll see you on the next video. Take care.